I find every reason to smile in hosting Professor James Ole Kiyapi on our GBS Panorama. Obviously, Professor Ole Kiyapi is one among many icons who are striving tooth and nail to succeed President Mwai Kibaki in the forthcoming general election. Professor Ole Kiyapi has risen through ranks as a civil servant and now seeks to occupy the highest office in the land. Ultimately, he's here to share with us what he believes is the man to watch in this terribly competitive contest. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're really very happy to have you on our show today.
Me too.
Tell us a little bit of your presidential bid.
I come in with a rich civil service experience. I come in with many years of clear understanding of the issues that affect our country. I think I'm a very committed person. I'm very patriotic, and I believe that I can really look at Kenyans and say, when I was a lecturer in the university and when I was a PS, I took good care of public resources and opportunities that I had. And I think that leadership is really not as complicated as people think. Leadership is really people rallying the people to believe in themselves and to use the opportunities they have to create wealth and therefore improve the livelihood of the people.
Some critics, Prof, will argue that you are really you could be biting more than you can chew, considering that you've just come fresh from the civil service, that is as a PS, direct to presidency.
Tawish,
yeah.
What is the work of the president? In my view, the main job of the president of any country, including Kenya, is threefold. Number one, the job of the president is to unite the country. The second job of the president is to ensure that public affairs are well coordinated and well managed by those under the president. So that means the president actually becomes what we call the overall supervisor of public affairs. So you cannot say that the president should not get involved in management and supervision.
Yeah.
The third thing about the presidency is that the president is responsible for what we call sovereignty of the nation,
yeah.
Protecting us in terms of galvanizing a national philosophy, a national agenda, and helping the country to interact with other countries within the region or outside the region. And if you look at that, I'm probably the only candidate who is the best unifying factor in Kenya. I think it's time for Kenya to get somebody who comes with the background of public service, because civil service, a background is one of neutrality. You know, you are neutral. I served everybody regardless of where they came from. And I think my education has given me a good understanding and experience as an international consultant interacting with international organizations. I don't need to go and become a governor or a member of parliament, because if you needed to become a member of parliament in order to become a good president, then we should have had very, very great presidents a long time ago, because all of them were in parliament. So I don't really think parliament, in fact our Kenyan parliament, needs to be overhauled. It needs a total overhaul. Listen, the other day, remember this NHIF saga?
Yeah.
A report was taken to parliament and it was thrown off, just like that. By a parliamentary committee prepared the report, it was taken to parliament and it was thrown off. How many other reports have been thrown off? Have they ever told you what happened to the maize report? Have they ever told you what happened to the oil report, Triton thing? Leadership of a country is simply the passion, integrity of an individual, what we call the strength of character. What parliament did Mandela go? He was in 27. He was in prison for 27 years, and he came out and he was made president of South Africa. Was it not Mandela who managed to bring a divided South Africa together, a South Africa that had suffered under apartheid? When Mandela came in, yet the only experience he has is being in prison, because the country and leadership of it is all about commitment and trust and integrity. And if Kenyans continue to be fooled around by people watu ambao wanajitakia makubwa. The people who want ubinafsi, self-interest. Self-interest. Self-interest cannot build the country.
So, Prof, how will you isolate yourself from the context of having self-interest in the presidency compared to other candidates?
Because I have already demonstrated it. I have been a permanent secretary for almost 6 years. And I know that I have a very clear track record. And not once did I enter into deals. Because if I did, I would be having billions now to run my campaign. If I didn't steal when I was a PS, why would I go and steal when I'm a president? Yeah. There's no point.
Much as you have confident in your ambition to become the country's next CEO, do you think the participation of other contestants in this race is inconsequential?
No, it is a race, so I cannot say that the participation of others is inconsequential. And in fact, obviously, if you've been looking at the polls, which are fake, they are fake, and I repeat it again, they are fake. There has been a strategy to try and black out these new people like Kiyapi, because and you can see the reason. These politicians want to compete among themselves because they understand a game, a competition among themselves. But a competition with the new fellows who bring new ideas, new dimensions, is likely to be tricky. So there's been a lot of compromise. Because I have challenged these pollsters. I've told them, if you are really telling us the truth, why don't we do a joint survey? For example, somebody yesterday gave me an example where a question was asked, and the person in Mombasa read the question, and the person was asked, which of the following people will you elect for president if the elections were held today? And then there were only 5 names, and I don't even want to mention. And the 5 names are the names of the so-called leading contenders. Why did they not give all the names of everybody who is running? So if you ask the question and you don't want to include my name, and then you go and analyze the results, and then you say Kiyapi does not even have 0.0 something of the... It's unfair, it's most unfortunate. But that will not deter us. It will certainly not hinder me from running for president. I'm going to compete with the others. So I take them very seriously as serious contenders, but I am equally a very serious contender. And for me, the real outcome will be the day when Kenyans will line up and they will see my name on the ballot. If I offer myself and the Kenyans make a choice, I will respect the choice of Kenyans. So I have no problem with what happens, afterwards. I am very clear in my mind that this is a purposeful decision, and I have already taken it, and I don't want the Kenyan people to fall into the trap. Let them look at every candidate and interrogate and make up their minds what kind of leadership they should have.
Coming straight from the permanent secretary docket to come for presidency, you reminded me rather of something about the quotation of projects in the race to succeed President Mwai Kibaki. Maybe some of your critics will, to some extent, suggest that maybe you could be one of those projects. What is your take about that?
I wish I was, because then I would enjoy the easy billions to run around. No, sorry, I'm not. I'm not an anybody project.
If it goes by the talk that maybe State House, rather there are projects that are being used by State House to try maybe to sabotage, don't you think it's going to jeopardize, if at all it is there, to jeopardize the efforts of Kenyans to get a credible leader come the elections?
If we allow a few men and women to sit around a table in big 5-star hotels to negotiate and cut deals and say, okay, let's form an alliance, and then you bring your tribe and I bring my tribe, and then I become this and you become this. I want Kenyans to know that there's only one day in 5 years that the ordinary citizen has more power than the leader. And and that's election day. So exercise that right as a citizen, exercise that authority that you have as a citizen to elect the right leaders.
Most of these presidential candidates, are they going to sail through in the integrity test, counting yourself?
The most basic integrity test is to ask people, when you are going into power, this is where you are. Today, this is where you are. What happened? Where did you get all this money? But the problem is, it depends on how, that integrity is conducted.
Maybe some of them will argue they're in business.
If you're a cabinet minister, what other business should you be doing other than the business of the state? If you're a permanent secretary, what other business should you be doing other than the business of serving the public? What if I don't win?
Yeah.
No, but I don't think I have a problem with that, because I am a public servant. All along, I serve this country. I've always served Kenya. And for me, I believe very strongly that the Kenyan people will give me the mandate because they trust me. The Kenyan people trust me. I can assure you that Kenyans trust me. And I think that they're going to trust me and they're going to give me the mandate. But if they don't, then I will serve the country in any other capacity. Whatever capacity that God gives me, and there are so many things I can do for Kenya.
You are the first civil servant to register history in quitting your job as a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education. Are you going to do the same as in naming your presidential running mate?
I might actually be the first, but I can assure you, I can assure you that that is a matter that is under very, very serious consideration, and in very soon, I should be able to let the country know who my running mate will be. I will even, in due course, maybe before October, I should be able to name my shadow cabinet. The Constitution allows us to have up to 22 ministries. Yeah. I think we can do with the 18. Yeah. 18, more than enough.
Thank you, Sana Prof.
Cheers.
We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our dear viewer, we've just been talking to Professor James Ole Kiyapi, one of our own presidential candidate in the coming general election. Thank you so much for having us today here. We really appreciate it.
I'm your candidate. Give me your vote.
Asante sana.
Cheers.
Okay.